here to talk more about the politics of this case and the trial. Joining me now, Aaron Perini, and a Republican strategist with Axios Strategies, along with Democratic analyst Jonathan Harris. To you both, I think we're in some uncharted waters here, so I appreciate you both being with us as we wait for the jury to start deliberating. Aaron, let me start with you. Do you read into the fact that Trump, as outspoken as he has been, did not say anything going into court today? Is that an indication that his defense may have some concerns here about what the jury will do?
No, I wouldn't read too much into it because President Trump still has a number of surrogates who are out there on his behalf. That includes the press conference his team held yesterday outside the courthouse. And that includes people who've been standing behind him every day. So I don't think that this necessarily speaks to a larger concern for them. Listen, the jury instructions are a major part of any trial, and so this might just be a bit more of a solemn tone from him than it has been up to this point where he's used the cameras to his advantage. I think it shows a reverence and a respect for the court and the process.
Jonathan, how about, and it surprised me to see actor Robert De Niro come out on behalf of the Biden administration to speak in New York. He's a New Yorker. He was speaking to New Yorkers about his concerns surrounding the former president. Was that a smart strategy from the Biden campaign? What did you make of his appearance and the impact it had?
I thought it was important. I'm actually surprised that they, I think President Biden is kind of, playing it safe and kind of not wanting anything to look. I mean, Trump has long complained, that he's the victim and there's a grand conspiracy. And I think President Biden and his campaign have been, very, very wise not to play into that and interfere and comment on it, because any comment or anything Trump will use to play into his victimhood routine that he sells his followers. So I do think, though, that it was good. You did need to you need a counter narrative. No matter what you're doing, PR is part of it. And my only criticism of the Biden administration has always been they do the work, not the PR. So I thought that Robert De Niro doing what he did was finally the PR that the Biden administration needs to do to give a counter narrative to Trump, claiming he's a victim, but really he's actually just a victim of his own conduct.
Well, it was certainly a moment that caught a lot of attention. I want to get both of your thoughts on the idea of the movable middle, the undecideds, and if there are those people out there who don't know. I think we've had a lot of polling that people have said, I'm unhappy with both choices. I'd like to have a third option. But do you think there are people who are undecided, if it's Biden and Trump on the ticket come November, Aaron, that have not made up their mind? And that is irregardless of the outcome of this trial.
There is definitely a group of persuadable voters that exist out there in the world as of this point, regardless of the trial or the trial's outcome. That's that group that campaigns are always working to try and persuade. At this point, what you're seeing, though, is that Joe Biden needs to work more to shore up his base, the progressive base, especially when people continue to put votes out there in the Democratic primary against him, while Donald Trump has shored up the Republican base very quickly in the primary. So for him, it's easier for Trump now to start playing to that middle, to getting those persuadable swing voters, than it is for Joe Biden, who still needs to do work within the Democratic Party.
Jonathan, does the Biden campaign have more work to do to try to persuade people who are not starch liberals to join his camp? And what does that work look like between now and November?
Well, I like, polls are fun, especially when you kind of compare them. And there was a new poll from CBS that said that the majority believe that Donald Trump is guilty. And that really hasn't changed. That's kind of been consistent throughout all of this. And then there was a new NPR poll that said that the majority also aren't really paying attention to the trial itself. So if you walk away with two things from that, it's that people think he's guilty, but they're not, really, giving this a lot of their attention. And I do think that that's probably going to hurt Trump overall. I mean, we don't know how the trial is going to turn out. But I mean, I think the reality is you saw Trump being mercilessly booed over the weekend when he stepped away from his base. He's kept his base locked up for a long time, but he also lost the election with that base. So, I think this trial is certainly not helping. And according to the polling, when they believe that he's guilty, I think it's going to be hard for him to appeal to the middle.
Well, there's certainly a political side to this legal case, and it's a big one. Between now and November, both candidates have a lot of work to do if they are to persuade voters who are undecided. Aaron and Jonathan, thanks as always. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.